Hey there friends, it's Mandy. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am so excited to share with you our first ever deck unboxing and first impressions. We are unboxing the Winterseer Animal Oracle by Siolo Thompson. I am so excited for this deck. I first heard that it was announced actually over on Supportive Tarot with Lisa Papez on one of her Say Yes to the Deck videos. I absolutely love her Say Yes to the Deck videos. It was on one of her helping someone else say yes to the deck. But anyways, in her helping someone else say yes to the deck, I also had to put this on my list because I have the Hedge-Witch Botanical Oracle, and by Siolo Thompson. My sister-in-law got me that deck. I share a little walkthrough of that deck in a previous video that I did. I will link that down below if you're curious to see that. So I am very excited to have the animal accompaniment to the Hedge-Witch Botanical Oracle. So, oops, wrong side. So I kind of figured we would just skip the intro today and just hop right into it because I am too excited to drag this out. But first, I have a lovely cup of tea with me. I got this in I got this mug in one of my my baby's Love Every Box subscriptions. It says, "The days are long and the years are short," and you know, I feel that. She's not even a year old yet, and I can definitely feel that. But I am drinking a just super basic Twinings Earl Grey today. It is their decaf Earl Grey because I am filming this at night, and if I drink a fully caffeinated tea, I will not sleep. So yeah, let me know down below what are you sipping on while you're watching this video. So, without further ado, let's tear into it. Gotta get my handy dandy scissors because I did not tear into the plastic. So my mother-in-law got me this deck for Christmas, and I had to stop myself because I told myself that any decks that I got for Christmas I was going to save and do an unboxing for here on the channel. But it was really, really hard to resist because usually anytime, woohoo, we got a piece. Because usually anytime that I get a deck for Christmas or for my birthday or whatever, I just tear into it immediately. I get so excited. I can't wait to like look through it. So it took so much self-control. My husband had to keep reminding me like, hey, content for your YouTube channel. You should hang on to this. So now here we are in February and I am just getting into this. So, all right, we almost have the plastic off. We're free, yay! Okay, put the scissors away. Toss that over there for now. Okay, so first off, I am very excited by the cover on this. So I tried to make an effort not to look at too many pictures of this deck. I didn't look at any walkthroughs. The only thing that I've seen is the pictures that they had on the Amazon listing, I'm pretty sure. But it does kind of seem like the art style is very much going along the same kind of watercolory style that the Hedge-Witch Botanical Oracle has. So let's see. So we have a really nice large box, little magnetic clasp, which is always very nice and very appreciated. And you open it up, and oh my gosh, looks like there's a lovely guidebook. And look at this like beautiful picture of a bird right here. Like, oh gosh, my ring light. Isn't that just like, oh, it's just so pretty. Okay, so then we have a little like ribbon here to pull the book out. So this feels like it is very, very similar to the Hedge-Witch Botanical Oracle in the size of the guidebook. Right away, it looks like it is full color, which is always very exciting. So let's see. So there's a little about the author. Siolo Thompson from Seattle, Washington is a visual artist and author who employs multiple techniques in narrative forms, from traditional painting to comics and sequential illustration. Her work has been published and exhibited worldwide. All right, so let's see. It's got a nice, very short and sweet table of contents here. Okay, so there's a really nice little introduction here with some more full color artwork. Then there's a little bit of background on using the deck. Let's see. There's some stuff on the keywords. There's a section on setting the scene, so preparing for a reading. Let's see, different ways that you can pull cards. There's like your basic 3-card spread in here. And then it jumps straight into part 2, which is the card meanings. And then this is really nice. It looks like that is just alphabetical, so you have a full color image of the card, which is really lovely, and then you have the name of the animal as well as some keywords. So let's see. So for this one, for badgers, it looks like has a little bit of information. Let's see, on like, okay, very interesting. So for this one, at least for the badger, it looks like it goes into a little bit of information on how the badger has been like seen as like a symbol throughout history, as well as like seeing it in like an Irish folk story and British stories, that sort of thing. And then it also has some information about pulling this card in a reading. And here we go for the bat. That's the next one. It does the exact same thing. It goes into a little bit about the folklore of the animal, and then it has some information if you were to pull this in the reading. So that's really interesting. So with her Hedwig Botanical deck, it kind of goes into like the folklore of the plant, as well as like some of the like medicinal uses, culinary uses, that sort of thing. And then kind of the oracle properties of it, but it doesn't necessarily have like a specific in pulling it in a reading section. So it's really interesting that she separated it out this time into like one section on folklore, one section on inner reading. So I'd definitely be very curious to dive into this a little bit deeper. Okay, so then that same ribbon that we use to pull out the book, we'll use for the cards. So it's really nice, just a very simple like little sleeve around the card. It really bugs me when like they shrink wrap the outside of the box and they shrink wrap the cards. I really appreciate that it was just a very basic little band. This is what the card backs look like, which are very, very simple, very, very beautiful. These are really lovely shades of blue here. And then when you get into the bottom of the box, there is another lovely image. Let's see. Yeah. Very pretty little bird there resting on a skull. So they did a great job with the box. The box is absolutely beautiful. One minor complaint that I have with this, that it's same exact thing bugs me with the Hedwig Botanical Oracle, is that the cards themselves don't come with a little box. Especially because like these boxes are so chunky, sometimes it can just be a lot to try and store the deck in this box with my other decks. So I always like to have a smaller little box to keep the actual deck in, which I mean I can probably just like get a bag for it or something. That's not the absolute end of the world, just a little nitpicky thing. So if you feel the same way about your cards, then that may or may not be a problem. But if the box is a little bit too chunky for you to store, you might want to get like a little deck bag or something to this to store with your other decks. So just that to keep in mind. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the actual cards. So, all right, so we are just going to go straight in order here. All right, so the first card here we have is Badger, and the keyword there is dig. And I really love that, you can kind of see it. I really love that she keeps the backgrounds just like super, super minimal here. When I had the Hedge Witch Botanical Oracle, at first I thought that that was going to be problematic because I always felt like I was the type of person that needed like a lot of artwork to really like dig into, but I actually find that her more minimal art style, it definitely like packs a punch, and her keywords are usually incredibly spot on and very, very useful in a like, especially like when using the deck to like pull as an intention for a yoga practice or a yoga class. And then we have, let's see, the next one is Bat, which is adapt. And oh my gosh, I feel like a lot of times like bats can be seen as like super, super creepy and kind of give people a little bit of like the heebie-jeebies a little bit. But this little guy is just so cute. I mean, like, look at him there, just like smelling a little flower, just hanging from this little branch, just kind of living his best life. Like, that is just, oh my gosh, that is just absolutely so precious. I'd be very curious because I don't know really a ton about bats. I'd be very curious as to why she chose the keyword adapt for this one. So that might be worth looking into the book later. And another thing that I forgot to mention before is this is my very first animal deck. I've been wanting an animal-based deck for a really, really long time, but I have not yet found one that actually like really kind of like flipped my switch and got me really excited. Like, I've seen so many. I thought the Spirit Song Tarot, I want to say that's the name of it. I thought the Spirit Song Tarot might be it, but I was kind of like hem and hawed on it long enough, and it was kind of the point where it's like, if I'm having to think this hard about it, then it just doesn't feel like a yes. But then as soon as I saw that the creator of this deck was releasing this one, I just instantly knew that I had to have it. I was really excited for it. Oh my gosh. Oh, this bear looks so sad. Oh my gosh. I'd be very curious as to why she drew this bear just looking so sad. Of course, the keyword there is strength, which I mean makes sense because bears are just like very intensely like strong, powerful creatures. But this poor little guy, I just kind of want to go give him a hug. Just looks so sad. Let's see, and then we have Beaver build. Of course, that makes complete sense with beavers, right? Building their dams, and the other thing too about beavers, which just kind of randomly popped into my head. If you look at this tree right here, you can see that it's like mostly gnawed off there, and this card almost kind of makes me think of like the Tower in tarot a little bit, and the fact that you have to like, sometimes you have to tear something down in order to really rebuild. So sometimes you have to just like completely destroy the foundation to start something new, to make room for that something new. So it's really, really interesting that I'm kind of getting that, that I'm really getting that energy from this card. So again, I'd be really curious to read in the guidebook what she has to say about this, because I don't know why, I just get like very much Tower energy here, which I know a lot of times when people see the Tower card, it can be kind of like, oh, but that's not necessarily what I'm getting here. It's almost like this is like kind of like the aftermath of that. Like it's time to rebuild after everything, the slate has been wiped clean. So that's really, really interesting. I didn't think that I would get that much from that card specifically. Oh my goodness. I just absolutely am adoring the colors here. These cards, like, and just kind of that simple black and white with the pops of color. That's one thing that I really loved about the Hedge Witch Botanical Oracle is it is kind of how that had that very simple like line drawing effect with those like pops of colors. And this one's definitely leaning more into the color than I would say the Hedge Witch Botanical, but still super, super cool. Oh my gosh, I love the keyword for cat here, which is detachment. especially because cats are always like so aloof, right? And the less attention that you give them, sometimes the more the more they actually like want to be around you. Let's see here. Oh, this one's super interesting. Crab defend. You can see with those claws at the ready. It is definitely ready to fight back there. Oh, this one's really interesting. So we have doe and caution. That keyword definitely makes a lot of sense for does, right? Because they're always, and just deer in general, because they are always on high alert, right? Especially being prey animals and being hunted so regularly. So they're always on high alert. Their ears are always listening. And especially this mama here, because she has a baby to take care of. So yeah, definitely caution makes a lot of sense for that one. And another thing I really like, so next we have dog, is that we have a combination of like wild animals as well as companion animals too in this deck. You saw we had cat earlier. Let me see, didn't show it earlier. Here we go. And they also had cow on here also. So I really like that it's not necessarily like one fully over the other. It's so far it seems to be a really, really nice balance there. And the other thing that I really appreciate is, like, of course we still got a lot of cards to get through, but so far they're all animals that I am very familiar with. I haven't gotten thrown any curveballs yet, because like with the with her botanical oracle, I'm not the best with plants. I'm learning, so almost every time I pull a card in that deck, I have to check the guidebook, just because I'm not 100% sure. So definitely a lot of learning involved there. But this really just feels like a deck that would be really kind of comforting, just like, maybe not comforting, but just comfortable to use, if that makes sense. Just something that you can easily just like pick up right off the bat and just read with, not necessarily even without having to look into the guidebook. Oh, this one's really fun. Duck navigate, or duck keyword navigate. I really like how they kind of include a little a compass there in the artwork. Ooh, this one's really interesting. Eel, mystery. As soon as I see this card, I immediately think of, I am blinking so hard right now. I immediately think of Ursula from The Little Mermaid, especially because she had kind of her eel cronies. And yeah, just like everything about Ursula from the get-go, it's just like, I mean, she screamed a little evil, like, let's be real, but also just everything about like kind of going into her cave is just like so dark and mysterious, and like the first time you're watching, it's like you don't really know what kind of trouble Ariel is gonna get herself into. So yes, I really like that keyword for eel, because all I can think of is my childhood watching The Little Mermaid and seeing Ursula's eels. Ooh, this is really interesting. With frog, you can see that this little frog is propped up on a skull there. It was actually very interesting too with the keyword luck. I'd be very curious to look into the guidebook a little bit on this one and see if there's any indication like why she included a skull in this one. Particularly because when I see skulls, luck is not necessarily the first thing that comes to mind. So I'd be very curious to read a little bit more into this one and see, yeah, kind of get a little bit more information on that one for sure. Oh my gosh, this card, Goose Protect. You can kind of see in the bottom there's a little baby goose kind of hiding in the grass. So So it's like you have this like mama kind of looking out very protectively to make sure that her babies are safe, which I really love that. And I don't know if you've ever ticked off a goose before, but those things are scary. I like to call them angry snake birds because their necks get going. They kind of look like snakes, but I absolutely love geese. They kind of terrify me a little bit, but I also love them just the same. But yeah, they protect definitely makes sense there, because you do not want to anger a goose. If I have learned anything in my life, do not make geese angry. Then we have hare, rebirth. Of course, that makes complete sense, especially like with the hare being associated with Ostara, the spring equinox, and of course the Christian Easter, all big energies of rebirth there. Oh my gosh, this hummingbird card, just absolutely beautiful. Love all the colors there and the kind of like swirly pinks and everything in the background. Okay, and this card, Magpie, Magpie Duality, this is the one that we actually had in the box. And I thought it was really interesting to see like this little bird propped up on a human skull there. I kind of figured that there would be like a crow or a raven propped up on a human skull, but I could tell, I was like, I don't know what kind of bird this is, so it's a little magpie. So very interesting there. I'd be very curious to read a little bit more, because as much as I know about magpies, of course, it's kind of that saying that like, oh, I'm such a magpie for such and such, because they like really like shiny things, to my understanding. So it'd be very interesting to read a little bit more about this, to see, yeah, to kind of see just what that dual nature of a magpie really is. I'm assuming the skull there is some kind of indication. Maybe there's some sort of death energy there. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Oh my gosh, this octopus is so beautiful. I love the keyword strategy for octopus, because of course they are such highly intelligent animals. Oh, interesting. So we had hare, and now we also have rabbit. So we had hare, which is rebirth, and now we have rabbit, which is fertility. I really love how she drew these rabbits. These are just absolutely beautiful. So stunning. So I wonder why she chose to put hare and rabbit in here individually. I definitely would have thought that hare stood in for rabbit. So I'd be very curious as to why. I mean, obviously, like rebirth and fertility are kind of similar energies, but still two different things. So that is very interesting that there's both of these in this deck. Oh my gosh, raccoons. I just love that this little guy looks kind of surprised. It just reminds me of a couple years ago, my husband and I went camping, and it was so funny because we were sitting by our campfire and we heard like so much little scurrying in the bushes behind us. And we were like, all right, we need to go to the bathroom. So it was nighttime, so we grabbed our headlamps and our lantern. We were going to head off to use the bathroom, and literally, I kid you not, we took 4 steps away from our campfire and realized we forgot something. So we turned around, and within however long it took for us to walk the 4 steps away from our campsite, there were 4 raccoons just looking at us, and they looked exactly like this, just like they wasted no time raiding our campsite. So like, oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite memories that I have camping. So like, as soon as I see this, like I can't just like help but just like feel so happy and just like laugh thinking about that. And survival is absolutely a perfect keyword for raccoons, because yeah, they waste no time. They take care of themselves, that's for sure. Okay, here we go. So when I saw that one card earlier with the little bird sitting on the skull, I mentioned I was very confused. It was like, I feel like this should be a raven or a crow or something. But here we go. We now have our raven with the keyword death. So that definitely makes sense there. Okay, so I am happy to see this. I absolutely love ravens. Okay, let's see. We have robin, rooster. We have snail in here with the keyword slow. And it's very interesting actually, because when I first pulled this card, when I saw the keyword there for slow, it's like I kind of immediately felt a little bit like, oh, why so slow? Like, why is this even a thing? But I feel like this is actually in here as a really good reminder to just slow down and enjoy life a little bit. Sometimes you don't always need to be going at 100 miles an hour, really cruising, trying to get the next thing done, bam, bam, bam. So I feel like I'm actually even though I had that kind of initial reaction, I'm actually kind of really happy that this card is in the deck, because I feel like this is a reminder that so many of us need so often, especially just to give ourselves that permission to slow down and rest. So I think this card is definitely going to be incredibly valuable to pull, particularly in a yoga practice, just as a little reminder. Not to say that the rest of the cards won't be valuable, because of course they all are incredibly valuable on their own, but I feel like this one definitely is a reminder that so many of us need. Also very interesting, so with snake, the keyword here that she gave this one is desire. So it's really interesting to me, especially this might be one that I end up ignoring the keyword for, because for me personally, I have always had this very intense feeling of rebirth energy when it comes to snakes. That's just personally kind of what fits very well in my own practice and my own spirituality. Snakes to me, especially with them shedding their skin and kind of coming out bright, shiny, and new, has just always been a really important symbol of me personally for rebirth. So I think desire is going to be a little bit of a struggle with me. Again, I'll have to reference the book to kind of see a little bit more. I'm assuming it's the Adam and Eve story, which is why she's going along with the keyword desire. But I'd be very curious to read that a little bit more, because I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for me. So I'll be very curious to see how this actually pops up for me in readings, to see if leaning into that keyword of desire is something that kind of how that will go. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for me, which honestly probably isn't a bad thing. It's always really beneficial and really helpful when you have cards and decks that really challenge you. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how this goes when I actually go to use this card in the future. Oh my gosh, the Swan card is just absolutely stunning. Just look at how beautiful that is drawn. Oh my gosh, absolutely gorgeous. I love that. So very interesting here. So now we have wagtail. So there are a couple others that I've come across, like tern. Have not heard of that bird before, so I'll definitely need to look more into that. And stoat. It looks like a ferret. I don't know if they're related to ferrets. I don't know if stoat and ferret are the same thing. So I'll need to look a little bit more into that. But kind of exciting though that I have started pulling some cards that with animals that I am not familiar with. So I'll get to learn a little bit more there. And then again, we have wagtail. I've never heard of a wagtail, so that is keyword there is restlessness. It's a very beautiful little bird, so I'll be very curious to read more about that. Oh my gosh, this whale card, I absolutely just love kind of that like flowy watercolor kind of flowing through there that's just absolutely beautiful. Then the last card we have here is Wren for humility. And I was just looking, it looks like there's a key hanging from the nest there. So very curious to kind of lean into that a little bit more to see kind of what comes up, because when I see the key, it immediately makes me think of the Hierophant card in the Wild Unknown Tarot. If you're familiar at all with that card, I can't remember what kind of, I want to say it's a bird clutching a key or something like that. But as soon as I see that key, it immediately makes me think like the key to knowledge. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here, is kind of that key to knowledge. And with the keyword there, humility, I almost wonder if there's kind of an energy of just humbling yourself and remembering that there's always something to learn. So even if we feel like we've been practicing something for years and years and years and years, that you never truly master anything. There's always something new you can learn, and at the very least there's always a new perspective that you can take on to kind of challenge any limiting beliefs that you might be holding on to about that topic, whatever it may be. So yeah, so surprising a lot for knowing absolutely nothing about the Wren. Yeah, that definitely sent me down a little bit of a rabbit hole there. So that is super, super cool. Definitely want to check in the guidebook a little bit more about this card, and yeah, kind of sit with that a little bit and see where it takes me a little bit more. So that is all the cards so far. So I thought it'd be really, really fun to just kind of have a quick little shuffle here, and maybe pick one or two cards and kind of go through the guidebook and read a little bit to see what we get. So I have to shuffle a few times because as I have just opened this deck, everything is still in alphabetical order. Woo. All right, let's see. I'll shuffle 2 more times. Well, I was going to shuffle 2 more times, but then Magpie literally leapt into my lap. So I think Magpie is the card that we should dive into a little bit more here. So again, the keyword, throwing the card at you. So the keyword there is duality. So let's see what we have in our book. And of course the card that I was like immediately interested in with the opening up the box before I get in there. You can see it right there on the inside of the box. So it seems like little Magpie definitely has something that they want to say. Here we go. All right. Magpie. Keywords: duality, mischief, cleverness, luck, misfortune, and speech. All right. So it looks like we start with a little poem here. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a letter, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret that has never been told. This is just one of the many rhymes or sayings that indicate how one should read the appearance of magpies. In folklore, these social, chatty, clever birds are associated with foretelling the future more than anything, although exactly what they foretell is a highly regional matter. Another interesting version of the rhyme found broadly in Britain and Ireland reads: 1 for anger, 2 for mirth, 3 for a wedding, 4 for a birth, 5 for rich, 6 for poor, 7 for a witch. I can tell you no more. Along with foretelling the future, their loud clattering is often associated with weather predictions. A noisy group of magpies in Ireland's County Mayo foretells rain, while in County Donegal, it means a storm is coming. In Scotland, the bird's chattering has given rise to associations with fast talkers. Garrulous, untrustworthy people may be referred to as magpies. The birds are among the most intelligent creatures on the planet and one of few non-human animals to recognize themselves in a mirror. They have an uncanny vocal range and are able to imitate complex sounds, including human voices and language. In Scotland, the bird was believed to have a drop of devil's blood in its tongue, which gives it the gift of human speech. Alternatively, a bird may receive the gift of speech if you scratch its tongue and put a drop of human blood on it. So then in a reading, it says, once thought to be the offspring of a dove and a raven, the magpie possesses the cleverness of the raven and the social nature of the dove. In this way, and in its two-tone plumage, the magpie is a good symbol of duality, tension, and a marriage of different qualities. The magpie urges us to embrace the various aspects of our personalities and honor each. The spirit of the magpie can be a boon to anyone who needs to perform, speak, or present something to an audience. Their legendary gift of speech and charismatic demeanor make them a good tutelary spirit for performers and people in public-facing professions and such as sales. In its negative aspect, the magpie may be warned of a dishonest person or someone who is charismatic but not necessarily well-intentioned. If you see yourself in this description, pause and consider the effect you are having on others and the ways in which your behavior is unethical or unkind. If you are a quick-witted person who gets away with bad behavior, be cautious. There will eventually be a price to pay for the harm you cause. Alternatively, this card may be speaking of someone in your life who exhibits the magpie's negative traits. Be wary of fast or smooth talkers or anyone promising something that seems too good to be true. Judge people on their actions rather than their words. So that is super, super interesting. I learned so much that I did not know about magpies at all. I'm learning that I know absolutely nothing about magpies. So very interested to kind of sit with this card a little bit, to meditate with this card and kind of see what this pretty little bird has to say a little bit more. And as you can see from that reading, this guidebook is very hefty, very juicy, very much similar to the Hedge Botanical Oracle, which I love so much. I just really appreciate that the guidebook has so much to offer. So that is it, everyone. That is our unboxing and first impressions of the Winterseer Animal Oracle by Siolo Thompson. Again, I've mentioned it 1,000 times in this video, but if you'd like to see a little bit more on the Hedge Botanical Oracle, which is the plant sister deck to this deck, I will link that video down below. So you're welcome to check that out. Let me know down in the comments if you would like to see a full review and full walkthrough of this deck after I've had time to work with it a little bit more. I will absolutely be more than happy to do that. Stay tuned for more deck unboxings coming soon. Very, very excited about that. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and you would like to see more. And as always, you guys, the love, the light, and the darkness within me sees, honors, and recognizes the love, the light, and the darkness within you. Bye, guys.